Hello and welcome to this episode of Trish Rock TV, an energy shift, changing energy, shifting perceptions. This week on the show, our special guest is the vibrant and beautiful Barbie Cawthan. Barbie came from a corporate background of architecture and international sports management, with all the trimmings of a high-end salary, travel and status, but she knew there was more. Her travel had allowed her to spend time and experience and work with many gurus, shamans, and holy women to understand who she really was. At 50, Barbie made the decision to totally change her life and live a holistic existence, both in business and in her personal life. Her belief success is an inside job is expressed in her business, CrystalnPearl&CO, both through her consultancy in Feng Shui and designing sacred gem jewelry. One balance and focus for success in the environment is Feng Shui, and the other designing sacred gem signature jewelry, working to success through balancing the biorhythms of the person. But it didn't stop there. At the age of 68 in 2005, she heard through a friend an earthquake had devastated the country of Nepal. Knowing through her travels, unless they had outside help, nothing would happen. Fundraising functions began immediately in 2005, 2016, and in 2017 and 18. And at the age of 71, Barbie trekked to the village in Nepal to oversee all of the distribution. Why would she get involved in a country devastated, yes, by an earthquake, but why Nepal? We're going to be talking about that. And it doesn't stop. Barbie, 2 years ago, launched her own TV show, The Barbie Ann Show, and the theme is creating the life you want. And she says, you're never dead until you take your last breath. We're going to be speaking to Barbie about the TV show and the Nepal fundraising that she does. But it is now my great pleasure to introduce my gorgeous friend, Barbie. Hey, Barbie, welcome.
Hi, Trish. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you.
Oh, such a pleasure, such a pleasure. I see you across social media and you're just always so vibrant and happy, and I know the work that you do is to bring that out in people as well, so they really can live the life that they want. But your energy really encourages people to do that and lifts them as well, whether they're in person or whether we're like this on film.
Oh, that's nice to know. That's nice to know.
Yeah. So, Barbie, let's get started with what was it that, really created that shift in you and gave you that shove to really change your life totally?
Well, Trish, I've always been a meditator and always understood that there was something inside me, but that really didn't get activated till I was about 38, actually. A long time ago now, but anyway, 38. And I met my beautiful man, Philip, and he said to me, I want to follow my spiritual path. Will you come with me? And I had really no idea what he was talking about, to be honest. Mine was sort of a...
How beautiful.
It was just lovely. And he'd had it in his life all his time, but like most of us, he'd gone on to finance and did different things in the financial world. And like myself, as you said, in architecture and international sports management. And as much as you try and keep yourself in that balanced state within when you're in that corporate world, and I'm sure you and many other people understand that, it's not as easy. It's not as easy. And so we followed many, many paths. And I was very lucky that, just a little thing about Philip, he would go off in his blue suit, thinking he's gone off to the office, and he'd come back to me and say, I had a most amazing day. And I'd say, oh, what did you do? And he said, I was sitting on the floor with two Buddhist monks and we were actually talking about life. I went, oh, right, okay. so So he was determined in his way to actually go up many, many paths. So he did that with every denomination. It'd be with the rabbi, or it'd be with, you know, different other people. And because in my life I had the beauty or the freedom, I suppose, to travel when I was in after architecture in international sports management, because I was the national manager for the Australian Baseball Federation, would you believe? I mean, I never played baseball in my life, but anyway.
That would have been a lot of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure because my role was sponsorship. So, you know, it was actually going all over the world to get sponsorship for Australia. But in the positive side, it was positive in its own way, but positive in my way. It actually gave me time to actually, you know, meet some amazing people in that time. And I feel very grateful and privileged that that was actually presented to me, sometimes by sheer chance. I'd be there and somebody'd say, have you met so-and-so? And I'd say no. And I was lucky enough I had the time to be able to do that when I was overseas. Yeah. But going back to all of that, and this is absolutely the truth, I was actually coming back. I'd spent a fairly heavy time with Major League Baseball, so you can imagine what that would be like around a board meeting and trying to get sponsorship for our junior teams and things like that. And they're tough men, you know, and you have to have yourself together and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And I was coming back, and you know, just to sort of say another thing with it, and I hope this helps everybody. I put so much effort out in my business, in my jobs actually, that I put on so much weight. I was unhealthy. I was eating out of hotel food. I was eating airplane food. And we can't do that. We've really got to look after ourselves. And I was on the plane coming back from New York, and I was exhausted, and I was doing a meditation on the plane. And I was just thought I'll just quieten myself down, because I was lucky enough that I did have that belief. So any time that I did I would try and bring myself into a balanced state. Yeah. In my meditation, I got this loud voice, and it actually said to me, stop, like with a really big stop. Yeah. It's time for you to pick up your own mantle. Now, I have to say at the time, didn't quite understand what that meant. I knew that in both of my positions, I was always, you know, there were directors or so on and so forth above, and I was underneath. And while they went away, I made them look good, you know, as us women always do. And I think Spirit was actually saying to me, you know, it's time to actually pick up your own mantle. So I went into my office when I got back and resigned, and they all sort of have a bit of a shock. And I started a holistic centre in Sydney. So that was at the age of 50, actually. Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, if you hadn't have taken that prompt, your body probably would have shut down. And this happens to a lot of people. We don't take the prompts, and we just push, and we're not looking after ourselves, and our body will just shut down.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. I mean, I still carry a bit of weight. That's just me, because I like a little sweet and a red wine every now and again. It just happens. It just happens. But I probably am still the healthiest that I've ever been, you know. So I certainly wasn't then, and you're very right. Who knows? I could have had a heart attack or a stroke. I don't know. Who knows? But when you count, I'm 5'2", so I got right up to 110, and that was big. Wow. You know, that was huge. And so
definitely, you know, from the universe to, you know, really. I mean, you know, obviously you've got this purpose here in this lifetime, and you know, if you didn't step out of the old, you would never be not only having this beautiful life that you've got now, but all the people around that you do heal and help, that wouldn't be happening either. It's this big knock-on effect.
Absolutely, Trish, absolutely. Yeah. So that's basically what did happen. And then but it is interesting. It is interesting, us women. You know, I'm a Capricorn on the cusp of Sag, so I have this Sag that says no, take off and, you know, have adventure, and the Capricorn says no, stay and build. You know, it's really quite deserting. You know?
I know, right? If you were a couple, you'd be fighting all the time.
We do. The Capricorn and the Sag does.
He's like, oh, cool it, Capricorn. We're going to go do this. And the Capricorn,
Exactly. It says, no, get on the plane to Nepal. You'll be fine. And I know I can't. I've got to make some money to get there, you know. But anyway, it was, I actually put all my, way I was talking about that is that I went from corporate that I worked so hard in, and then I opened up a holistic centre, and I had that like 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and I did look at my husband and I said, you know something, I think we're going to die here. We need to sell it, because the reason being was, sure, it was beautiful, and I'm sure many people had their lives changed because of the, you know, the whole energy that was in there, and the courses that we had, speakers and so on and so forth. But you can tend to still not, from your mind, tend to still not know exactly where you're going to go with it. So going out of corporate, we just put that energy back into a holistic centre to make it run.
Still putting yourself to the bone.
Absolutely. And the kid, what made us look at it, the kids would come in and say, I'm off to the Dalai Lama, I'm off to here. And I said to Philip, this is why we left corporate. That's what we were going to do, you know. So we sold that, and 20 years now I have had my beautiful shop, Crystal and Pearl Co. at Carrara Market on the Gold Coast, yeah.
So beautiful. So let's talk about that, and also your Feng Shui in that. Although let's talk about the jewelry and the energetic stuff that you do in that beautiful business that you've got first. Yes.
Well, in understanding, Trish, I've always had a very deep understanding of the mineral. I've been very lucky that people have come into my life. I actually worked with Katrina Raphael in Kauai, on the island of Kauai, and a couple of other people, and then sat with a lady that did full body trance channeling for 12 years, and the energy was also spoken about of the beautiful earth crystals. So I took it further and further. So in understanding the mineral content of every crystal, as well as its beauty and its frequency. And then, you know, it does give me great pleasure. I just did one for a girl this week, and they sit down with me for an hour and they write down all the 10 most important things to them. And as you know, in the work that you do, sometimes they totally forget themselves. You know, I look at the questions or the answers, and I say, but where are you? You're not there. Yeah. And so, you know, over that hour, that can sort of change quite a few times when they sort of change things around, and then they'll get to 6, and then they have to stretch themselves a little bit more to get to the 10. But then at the end of that hour, they tell themselves what they want. And then I go away and design a piece of jewelry that has all different crystals pertaining to that frequency and energy that will just keep them balanced and focused on what they want to bring into their life. So it's actually really, it's a beautiful process for them, but it's also a beautiful process for myself to actually see the end result, and then see the result they're getting by wearing that real crystal and that real energy every day with a focus.
Absolutely. And I love at the end there where you say you ask them what piece of jewelry they need or want, or, you know, what is for them at the moment. Because if you had asked them that at the beginning of the hour, that, you know, the answer wouldn't come. So you've drawn that out of them. And so, as well as the energy that's going into you making them and the actual crystals themselves, where every time they see it, they'll also see that, they also remember and live that process again and get back to themselves.
Well, I actually give them a copy of the end result of those 10 questions. And like even with the lady just this week, she, you know, she was changing from, she was a draftsperson actually, so she was changing from that corporate world into what she wanted to do in healing, which was her passion. And it was all work orientated, and I could see it coming from an architectural point of view. I could see her structure in the answer of the questions. And I don't get involved. I just let them do it, and I get on my phone and, you know, go on Facebook and do my little work. So they're totally in their own thing doing it. And then I'd sort of say a few things and talk about it. And, you know, at the end of the time, she wanted a relationship more than anything in the world. She wanted to have a partner. And I said, well, let's put that up the top. You know, let's not put it down the bottom. Let's put it up the top. So we went through a lot of things like that. And then there was a little thing where she wants to teach different things on stage. And I said to her, well, what about if you use the words sharing your knowledge on stage instead of teaching? And she said, and for her, I mean, it may not be for everyone, but she said, that just takes all the pressure off me. I'm just sharing my knowledge. And I said, yes, otherwise, sometimes, not for everyone, but if you're saying teaching, it's a possibility the mind can take you back to school when your teacher told you stuff or your parents told you stuff, and then it blocks it. So, yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely.
What powerful work you're doing. Powerful work.
Thank you.
And so you're at the Carrara markets every weekend. So we'll talk about that at the end, and I'll pop up all your links and everything so people can connect with you. But tell us about the Feng Shui side of things for you, because that's the other part of your business. How did you first start moving into that?
Yeah, well, I learned Feng Shui when I was in architecture, which was, again, very privileged. This would have been in the 80s. We were dealing with a lot of Asian clients, and we were building, you know, $300 million high-rise buildings, but the Asian clients would not deal with an architectural firm who didn't have a Feng Shui master included in the design.
Absolutely.
So I was very lucky that I was in just nearly a man company, and they didn't want to go. And my chairman sent me off to Kuala Lumpur, and I said, pick me. And he did, because they thought, oh, what a lot of rubbish. I'm not doing that. Well, it's just been fantastic for me, having the structure of that first, but then also bringing in the frequency and the energy of what a placement is all about in Feng Shui.
Yeah. I've touched on it briefly and kind of, you know a few Feng Shui cures and different, where my abundance corner is, where the relationship corner is, and those types of things, just from what I've read. But yeah, definitely going deeper into the placement of everything, actually, in the entire room, or the entire house, or anywhere really. Even coming through your front gate, placement of things up to your front door, it's so important. And so I have seen some results from, mutual friends of ours, and I see the results instantly just with the movement of one or two things. But what's been, in your mind, some really exciting changes that happened for you with clients, with the working with them?
One of the amazing ones, I've had many in business, because I do businesses and home offices and homes and all that sort of stuff. And you're absolutely correct. A lot of people will say to me, oh, I just want money, so what do I put in my wealth corner? Well, everything is balance and flow. So you have to do, even if it's only one room, which is the office, which is the sort of the engine center of our business, you still have to do every corner and every area, because it's a flow. That's the whole point of Feng Shui. It's the balance and the flow. So one of the homes I actually did, it was a beautiful home, but they were having problems because one of the sons, they had a very, very close family, and there were two boys, and they'd all brought them up very close, and the father and the sons always did everything together. And then one of the boys had a girlfriend, and she moved into the home and just caused absolute havoc. And so the mother was so concerned, because they were actually, it was one of the most beautiful families that I've actually been in, because they were extremely close, and it was lovely to see. But unfortunately, the girl was causing problems because she had her own issues, and as we know, when they've got their own issues, they portray them onto somebody else, and then that causes a problem. Anyway, in the whole thing, I said to the mum, well, we'll just go around, which I do. I actually show them with a pendulum, because I like them to see. I don't need it, but I like them to see how the energy's moving. And just as a quick incident, we're going around the dining room table and not knowing anything, where they sat or whatever, I got to a point and I said, my God, this is not moving, and it's just, I feel I feel quite ill here. And she said, that's where the girl sits, which was quite amazing. And she sat opposite the father, and apparently the father and her were always having, a bit of a spit and a spat.
Wow.
Anyway, she asked the young boy if she could do his room as well. He was about 20, and he said yes. Well, we did his room. They went overseas and everything else. Anyway, with doing the whole of the home, the parents wanted to travel. They wanted their son to pick up what his passion was, which was to go into the Air Force. They wanted their other boy that was doing chemistry to become the chemist, and so on and so forth. Well, I can say to you that the girl ended up leaving. She just decided to go back to her parents in Brisbane. Okay. The boy did go to the Air Force and met a beautiful girl in the Air Force, and now they're married with a little baby.
Wow.
The mother and father have travelled, I can't remember how many times, which they didn't think they would. Yeah. And the boy has found he did his degree, started as a chemist, but didn't want to do that. He's now in research, and that house is a happy household all over again. So beautiful to see. Yeah.
Well, that just must fill your heart with joy. And isn't it interesting? I think it's going to be really interesting for everybody listening that, isn't just about putting something in a corner. It really is about the energy of everybody involved. And, everything needs a little bit of a shift and a shake up. So, yeah.
And it's not, I've said to people when they say, oh, I've got a bad neighbour, what do I do? I said, you can't do sorcery. You just got to look after yourself and actually create such a positive energy in your own environment, whether it be in your yard or your home, that energy is so beautiful that the person is, causing whatever, they will leave, because negative energy cannot stay in very strong positive energy. It just doesn't work. They'll end up leaving in some sort. And I have had situations where a lady said, oh, the neighbours, da-da-da-da-da-da. So all we did something very simple. We put obsidian crystal all down the fence line of the lady's home between it. We put a bhagwan mirror facing to the neighbour to keep their own energy to them, nothing more. Yes. And she came back to say to me they'd put a for sale sign up on their house and that they were selling the house. I said, well, there you go. See, told you.
I love that. Well, the obsidian would have brought up all of their stuff to the surface, and they wouldn't have been able to deal with it. So.
But yeah, the positive was that they left and they had a good home.
Funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny.
Oh, so it's such beautiful work, and I love both of those businesses that you do, and it must just give you so much joy. But I know the thing that's really in your heart right now, and really what you're passionate about, is Nepal. So do you want to talk to us about that? I mean, for 4 years now you've been helping with that and with relief effort and fundraising, and it's something very close to your heart. So tell us a little bit about that, Barbie, and also perhaps at the end, how people could help if you take donations or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, again, Trish, in my meditation, I actually felt, I always feel this, but I always felt there was more that I could do. I felt I have my business in Feng Shui, and I have my business in my jewelry, and they're great, and I love them, and, that's an expression of how I am from the inside out, and that's fantastic. Yeah. But I still had this burning desire or burning passion that there was something more for me to do, and I didn't quite understand what that was. Yeah. And how I got involved I put it out in my meditation, show me. If you want me to do more, show me. I don't know. So, and I talk to the universe very strongly. I don't mess around. In my silent days on Monday, I say, well, you ask me to do this, then show me the way. Open the door and show me the way. Give me a signpost so that I can actually take action. And I think that's a very big, important thing in everyone's life, that, don't just pussy around with the universe. It's universal energy. It's very powerful. It's very strong. Ask.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I did.
That's the whole cornerstone of manifesting too, is that you have to ask with conviction, or with that knowing that it already is. Not ask in a way kind of, oh, I hope or I wish. It's like, well, this is my next step. Bring it.
Yeah. And I can honestly say I didn't even know where Nepal was when it all happened.
Okay.
I didn't have a clue. And so I'd actually put this out to the universe, and, you know, whatever was going on up there, a friend of mine was an international photographer, and she used to take photography tours to the Himalayas and from all around the world. And she was there. She was there when the earthquake happened. So she came back to my shop at Carrara Market and bought some more crystals, and she said she was on her way back to Nepal. And I thought, are you mad? You know, they've just had an earthquake. There's 9,000 people have been killed in the epicenter, right in the center of the town. It's something like 860,000 people were misplaced. I mean, it was devastating because it went totally through the whole of Nepal. Nepal's only small, so totally through the villages, right through, you know, I think there was something like 600 buildings collapsed right in Kathmandu, and that's, you know, that's a lot of buildings.
Absolutely.
And anyway, she said, no, I'm going back. And I said, well, I'll never go, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll actually do some concerts and raise money, and because you're there, I'll send the money direct to you, because, you know, it's like everything in third world countries. They're beautiful and lovely, but you're just not quite sure where that money might end up. So you've got to make sure it goes somewhere.
Have a bit of control over it.
You have to. So I did that in 2015 and 2016. We had a beautiful girl called Jo Kelly, a band that came and did keratin yoga and was just magnificent, enchanting and whatever. And we raised money on those 2 times. And then in 2017, we did a GoFundMe and we raised money. I wanted to go. So I wanted to go to see what we were doing. And my girlfriends all laughed and they said, Barbie, you've never even camped. How are you going to cope with Nepal?
It's because there's no comforts there.
Yeah, she said, you won't be able to wash in the village. And I thought, oh, look, I'll get over that. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I did have a bit of a shock, I have to say. But anyway, so that's what happened in 2017. And then we raised enough money to buy, because all the schools and lost all their equipment and everything. And so we raised enough money to buy 2 computers and 140 backpacks for the kids at school, and school books, like packs of them. I couldn't believe, and this is my not understanding at that time, Arjun Jamkatel is the trekking company that we deal with, and it's his village that we're helping, because you have to focus in on one. You can't sort of do the lot. So to me, I focused on his village, and he bought that seemed thousands of exercise books. And I said to him, that's a lot. He said, Barbie, they have nothing. They have nothing. They write on it the biggest piece of paper that they can grab, you know. This is what they need. And I said, okay. So we did that the first time in 2017. And I held 2 fundraisings in 2018. And we raised $8,000 or something. And then we went over again. And this time they're leading into winter. So the little children walk 2 hours to school, 2 hours back. You know, there's beautiful little people, and it's winter. You're getting below 0 over there in the mountains. And so we bought really warm clothes and beanies and blanket jumpers and stuff. But again, the kids we bought school books and coloured pencils, and all they wanted was that. But because education to them is paramount, they know the only way that they can get ahead in life is to be educated. We take so much for granted in Australia, and they just, it's just so paramount. But our biggest thing last year, I said to Arjun, okay, we've done all this, we've looked after the schools, we've looked after an ethnic village with blankets and things like that. What's something that we can really do practical with the rest of the money? And he looked at me and said, well, Barbie, we need a tractor. And I just about fell off the chair, because I thought, tractor, I don't have that much money. But what he meant was a diesel-driven hoe. So they use it, well, they've got it now in the village. So that clears in one day what would have taken them 5 days to actually do the planting. So it was just the most wonderful thing, Trish, you know, to see the old men from all around, because there's 200 families and 50 homes in this particular village. And they are just community. So this hoe was not just for Arjun's family. It was for the village.
For
And so
everybody.
they all came to see it work, and yeah, it was pretty magical.
Massive difference, and so beautiful to actually be there and see it. You know, I've given money and sponsored children and things like that before, and I sponsor businesses through Kiva as well. But to actually be there and, you know, ask what do you need and then physically get it for them, that must be so satisfying.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah. I didn't realise, and it was in it, I didn't know we were doing that, but we had some money over, and Arjun bought what they call a medical stretcher, which is a very strong stretcher, because I didn't know that if someone got injured, they carried them on their back for 2 hours to get to the clinic to actually then see what it was on. Now, all these people, when you think about that, yes, they're subsistent farmers, but they're not poor people to the point that, you know, they're the real poor people of Nepal. They look after themselves, their community, they take care of themselves. It's just that the earthquake has flattened their homes, and so they're trying now to rebuild their homes, you know. So yeah,
and it's been, oh, what a magnificent difference that what your work is doing is making. So you'll continue to do that every year, I imagine, and you know, once that village is up and running, you might start on another one.
Well, we're having the village itself, like they used to have 3-story homes, and then because the earthquake flattened everything, then they just ended up with nothing. Then under the government regulations, they can only build 2 stories. But a lot of them still don't, like they've still got the tin roofs on the top with just rock sitting on them, because they're not finished, you know, because unless they have like Arjun's family, he has a very successful trekking company, so he can help financially. So so that's our next project, is an income producing project.
How beautiful. And so that keeps your along with your other 2 businesses, which are all heart-based, that just keeps you really nurturing yourself in your passion, in your purpose, and nurturing other people. So really beautiful.
Well, I think, Trish, you know, when we all have a drive in some form, even though sometimes we don't understand what that is, like I know with my thing with Care for All Nepal, it's opened up so many more doors for me, like because people have, you know, from overseas that are on my Facebook or my Care for All Nepal page will actually say, oh, Barbie, that's fantastic, and they've given money, you know. It's I think because we do it, we're actually there. And when I'm in Nepal, I actually say, you know, say for instance, it was yourself, I'd say, Trish, this is what your money bought, you know. So I physically show the people what's happening with their money. And so the next, will I talk about my next one, my next project?
Yes, please do. Tell us and let us know how people can help.
Okay. Well, my next one is, again, I sat down with Arjun and I said, okay, look, we can keep supplying the schools and all that, but what's something that's really going to get you ahead? Because they need cash now. They've got, you know, electricity and things like that. So they normally barter, but they need cash. So he said, we want to produce an income-producing goat farm. And I thought, okay, fine. Never realising that goats were so, it's like gold for them. Goats are like gold. It's amazing. So if they can actually get a goat farm going with 40 goats in it, breeding goats, so then they sell that goat or a goat off for $200 to someone else, because at the moment they have to buy them from India. So it's, you know, they're not it's not self-sustaining. No. So the thing is to raise $10,000 to actually have 40 goats, and that's income producing, and it's 3-pronged. Like the goats selling will bring in cash, but we're also going to be looking after the year 12 people, girls and boys, to actually teach them, who don't go down to Kathmandu for uni, that stay in the village. Instead of just doing farming, they're going to learn how to run a small business. So as they breed the goats, they sell the goats, then collectively as a community, they'll then distribute the money on the most important things in the village. Wow. So it's teaching them how to run a business, and they could become quite an amazing, prosperous goat farmer. That's the possibility.
Absolutely.
And then another thing to that is we're going to have the ladies learning how to weave from the goat hair. So to have authentic Nepalese hats and scarves and things like that that actually can be sold again, to one, give the ladies something else than then planting all the rice and everything. And you know, they're just so beautiful. I've watched them. They actually sing while they're planting. They're full of mud and stuff, and they sing. And I'm thinking if you just could sit there at some point, the men can go off and do what men do, and the ladies can sit there weaving and just enjoying each other's time without being, you know, dirty and wet, and which they don't mind. But you know, I just thought it would be lovely for them to do. So,
and then you can get the young adults to, you know, create the business around that too. You know, I think that has more far-reaching effects than you're probably aware of now, because those people, some of them will eventually leave their village or leave the country and whatever, and that training will really be a beautiful foundation, even just to manage a household.
Yeah, exactly. And to manage money, see, because they don't do it, they barter. You know, if they want to, like they've always had the ox, so the ox will go over to the next village and they'll barter because they're allowing the ox to sire whatever, and then they'll give them something back, but not money. So they don't really know how to handle money, you know. So yeah.
Oh, it's
so,
incredible. Well, I'm going to put up all the links. So for people watching, the links are all here for you to connect with Barbie. So for Barbie's Feng Shui consultants, we've got and the Sacred Gem signature jewelry, which is beautiful. You have to go and look at all the pictures of that. You can just go to facebook.com at Crystal and Pearl Co. So Crystal and Pearl Co. And
you have to put the co in, Trish, or it goes to China. So
so the link's there for the Facebook page. And if you are in the area, pop down and see Barbie. She's there every Sunday at the Carrara Markets. Now, Barbie also has the Barbie Ann Show every Sunday night at 7. So tune in there. I'll put the links up for that. And Barbie's humanitarian Nepal projects. We've also got a link there for that for Facebook, and I've also got your website link up here, Barbie. So with the website, does that have links to Nepal as well, or they have to go to the
I haven't added. It does have my shop first up, but then it does, you know, there's all things about me and private sessions and all that, but I haven't added the Nepal. So Nepal is basically the Care for All Nepal page, Facebook page.
Facebook page, yeah. Okay. And people can go there, find out how they can help, find out progress.
We actually have a GoFundMe campaign already started, and I think there's about 600 in there already.
Wonderful.
But the big thing that we're doing, which another girl came up with it and I never thought about it, and it's actually starting to take off, is actually adopt a goat. So in adopting a goat, it's actually $200 to adopt a goat. But then what happens with that, one of the other girls is going to make all collars for the goats. So it'll have the name of the person that adopted, and then you also choose a name for the goat. So around Nepal, you'll have your goat running around breeding. So then the story continues with the little kid goats that go on and on, because they don't kill the goats. They're breeding goats for milk and cheese and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're vegetarian. So they don't
I kind of thought that too when you were saying about the goats. I'm like, wow, what if everybody just bought a goat?
Yeah. Well, if they put $10 in, we need 1,000. If they put $200 in, we need 50. So it makes it pretty easy. And again, I will be going over in 2020.
Yes.
And last time I did take 3 other people, so I'm putting it up. I will put it up. If anyone wants to come, they can share. We go into the village, and you do sleep on the rice bags, and you do sleep on the things. But look, it's an experience of a lifetime. And last time we did the Sacred Buddhist Trail, so we did other things as well. Yeah.
Well, you'll be herding a bunch of goats next time when you.
Yeah, we will. There'll be a Barbie goat running around there somewhere.
There'll be a Barbie goat running around, exactly. Well, that's amazing. Well, I've got the links to the GoFundMe campaign here too, so people can get on board and connect with you. And it's just been so amazing talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And, you know, the more people that can learn about what you're doing with the energy work, the crystal work, but also with your fundraising and your work in Nepal, you know, let's just get it out there to more and more people so that
thank you, Trish. And you know, I want to say to every single person, don't let anyone think that you can't do anything. Every single thing is possible. And I'm an example of that. I mean, I never knew when I gave up, you know, my corporate work, I didn't know where it was going to go. I just knew in my heart I had to change. And I took note of what it was said to stop. Nepal happened by me asking, you know, what else is there. So for every one of us.
And this was all after 50. I mean, you know, a lot of people.
I'm 72 now, Trish. I come up for 73 in December.
Amazing, isn't it? And you will get clients like I do that kind of say, oh, well, I'm 50 or 60, it's all over now, you know, or nothing else, or what can I do? But you've got to have that trust in the universe that, you know, if you're ready for that next step, the universe will bring it to you. And who knows what it is. I've always say to people, you could have the most profound effect on everybody, you know, in your 99th year on this planet.
Absolutely.
Never stop going after your passion, your purpose, and feeling the joy, trying to find some joy in your life.
Yeah. And that's very necessary. You know, we can all get, you know, I think, you know, I have trouble with the digital world, and so
but you know, it doesn't stop you, Barbie.
It doesn't. I still keep going, but you get beyond it. I mean, you just say, well, look, I'm just going to, if I have to do this, I'll just keep going. And I think, like you just said, is just never give up. You know, keep your passion. You know,
Absolutely. And if you've got a passion, don't worry about the way. The way will come. Just worry about the, you know, the feeling of it and your desire to do it. Ask and manifest it.
And laugh at yourself sometimes. I do. I just, every now and again it gets too much. I just laugh because I think, oh my God. I've ended up upside down on my Facebook Live, or I've ended up sideways, or, you know, what happened there?
You've got to just take it light. I mean, people can take things too seriously now, and I've lightened up a lot too, and I kind of think, you know what, who cares? Really, it's just 1 minute in one day that nobody's going to kind of think about ever again. Why am I? Don't get caught up in it. Just
and it's just, I think it's just catching yourself, isn't it? You know, no matter how. And I say this to so many people. Sure, I've been on my path for 35 years or whatever it is, but you can come on your path, you know, in a shorter space of time than that. But I can still get caught in the everyday thing, and I make no bones about that. But then I catch myself and say, let it go, breathe, and let it go. Nothing is that important.
Well, we wouldn't be, if we weren't having those moments, we wouldn't be human. And that's why we're here, to have those moments so we can return back to our love. And they're all a blessing. They're all a blessing. All right. And you're an absolute blessing to so many thousands of people, Barbie. And really, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I mean that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So all the links are there. Everybody who's tuning in, go and connect with Barbie and all the beautiful work she does. And I look forward to seeing you all on next episode of Trish Rock TV. Bye for now.
Bye.